Hi, today I'm going to be talking about drawing folds in action. Hi, my name is Escobar. I'm a storyboard artist in the Simpsons television show. I've been working on the show for over 25 years now, and I'm here to empower you. If you did not know this, I have a newsletter. You could sign up for it. I'll provide a link to it in the description of this video. You could also go to the drawingwebsite.com, and then there is a tab there where you could actually click to sign up to the newsletter there too. And what I do is every week I send off a newsletter, usually just alerting, talking about what the newest YouTube video is. But I also link to, say, the courses that I do, to my Patreon. I also inform people what is coming up next, or I ask the people who follow me questions, or I just write about tips and tricks. So a few weeks ago, I asked my newsletter to let me know what one of their drawing problems were, and so I've got quite a few answers. One of them was that they wanted to know how to draw drapery in an action pose or in action. So I thought that was an interesting topic to talk about, which is the reason why I'm doing this. So I'm going to start from scratch, which means that from a character, just drawing it out of my head, drawing all the drapery out of my head, just using fold formula from the drawing website. So I will show you what I'm thinking about, how I'm approaching it, why I'm drawing what I'm drawing, how much I am drawing, and then I'm going to show you the process behind the mindset behind how I am going to put the drapery on top of the human figure in order to make it look convincing. And the figure is going to be in a running pose, in an action pose. And the clothes is going to be like really big and baggy, so that there would be a lot of drapery there so that you could actually see it. All right, so let's get to it. All right, so I'm going to draw one of my own characters here. They are men who've been enchanted and turned into women. I'm using them because they have very wrinkly, very loose-fitting clothes, and that gives a lot more folds. And I'm going to use Ken over here because, unlike Brand over here and Harry, Ken's clothes there's less of it, and it's less bulky. So we'll be able to see more of the way that it functions. Like all of this stuff all works within the framework of any character, but the idea here is that at least with him, his clothes are a little bit tighter than all the other guys. The other characters have just big, so baggy, and so it's a little different. So I'm going to use Ken here. So one of the things I did was I brought him in, and what I like to do, especially with my own characters, is I like to have like the characters in like underneath my drawing, so I could very, very quickly put in, get the proportions right on my particular characters, so that they quote unquote stay on model. Whoops. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna shrink shrink that in there. Okay. So he's gonna be running. Ken is a very goofy character. He's always he's always putting his foot in his mouth, running in to things he probably shouldn't be running into. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing a gesture first, right? This is how I tend to start everything. And this is the way that if you look at the way that I do my comic, this is how I start. I start with these like scribbles. And you got to remember, like, so he's going to be running, and he's like I said, these are very cartoony, so I'm going to push this as much as I can. I'm going to make sure that the proportions are right. That's why I have the model sheet underneath, and I should have the model sheet here too, so I could see what I'm doing. And so what I usually do is when I'm drawing these characters is I absolutely do not draw the like I draw the gesture, and then I start drawing the clothes already. Like I just do this, and then I start putting in all the clothes. But I'm not going to do that here because since this is a lesson, I have to show my thinking. And in order to show my thinking, I need to have more. I need to show you what I'm doing, so that what's in my head, like why I'm making the decisions I'm making. So the reason, so what I'm saying is that I'm going to draw the figure semi-nude. By semi-nude, I don't mean I'm going to put any details in, but I am going to put in the construction of the general underneath anatomy, construction, solidity of this character, so that you could understand what I'm working off of. And that's part of the thing, part of the process. You have to know your anatomy really well, because the clothes is going to be influenced by it. Okay, and then I'm gonna draw Ken's face. I'm gonna move it over. So again, this is the way I do these things. This is the way I use my model sheets, and this has always been very helpful. This is actually also the way I do draw the Simpsons characters. I learned years ago that in order to speed up the process, it helps to just have the characters, the model sheets underneath my drawings, so that I can get the proportions right off the get-go. I used to not do that. I used to construct them from scratch for years, and then I'd end up looking at my drawings, and then I'd look at the model sheets, and they'd be off, and then I'd have to redraw them a little bit or adjust, and then I'd have to adjust again, and then I'd have to adjust again and adjust again, and it would take me so many tries to get the proportions just right that that I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna put the model sheet underneath, get the proportions right off the bat, and then not worry about it. And so I've been doing that ever since. And that also helps, because when you're doing animation, another thing that tends to happen that you may not want to happen is that you have your characters, and you have to draw them a bazillion times, and then you may end up with a character growing in your scene, and it helps to have the model sheet underneath, so that you know that as the more you draw them in your scene, they don't grow bigger and bigger, because that's just death. Because the moment that they, like, at least even when I was doing the stuff analog, oh my gosh, that meant time to go to the copy machine and start shrinking my drawings to fit what I originally had started with, and that was bad. So now when we're drawing digitally, and that sort of thing happens, if it happens, it's a little bit easier, but it's still a pain in the neck to fix that stuff. Okay, so now I've got Ken running for his life. Ooh. So this is what I'm going to start off with. So as you can, so I'm gonna add even more stuff in here, more information, so that you can see what I'm thinking, because I'm thinking about this stuff. So this is rotating this way. This is coming around and coming around here like this. This is rotating away from us like this. This is doing this. So I'm thinking about all of this stuff. This is the anatomy here. Okay, and then this is going away. This is going away from us. This is a box. This is coming toward us. This is coming toward us. This is a box. This is boxy. So, boom, boom. Let's make all this stuff boxy. Okay, so now I've got, oh, and this is way too long, too big. Here we go. Maybe this, we can make it a little less cartoony. Oh, this wraps around. I'm trying to construct everything in here so that you can see what I'm thinking when I'm thinking about this stuff. This is too big. There we go. Something like that. This also. Think about that arch. This is flat over here. There is no arch on this side. Okay. here's Ken, and I can't get the thing. Okay, let's shrink this down so that so now that we have Ken running, oh whoops, one more thing, since this is going to happen here, this, I need to think about this, the way that this is wrapping around, how this is wrapping around. This needs to wrap around like that, and this needs to wrap around. So I'm thinking about all of these things in 3 dimensions. Okay. Okay, now that I've gotten something to draw on top of, I am going to draw the clothes. Now notice I did all of this stuff here, and then I drew all these lines so that you can see the solidity and this construction and this that I'm thinking about when I'm working on this stuff. Now I'm going to put the clothes on. Now the way that this goes, and I should probably do that because it feels weird if it doesn't have that there. So here's how I go about doing it. When I talk about drapery, I'm thinking about a few things. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to be thinking about. If you go to the drawing website, you're going to see some of the advice and concepts that I'm going to be thinking about. I'm going to be thinking about pipe folds. Pipe folds have an origin somewhere, and then they just kind of fall down in kind of these little pipes. Spiral folds. Spiral folds are like this, where they just go around, they wrap around an object. This happens a lot in tight clothing. So if you're drawing women, there's a lot of spiral folds. There's interlocking folds where the fold comes in and then it just goes inside another fold. Like they just lock inside each other like that. And then so you get either an interlocking fold that looks like this or an interlocking fold that looks like this, where they just kind of pinch each other. It's like they're like pipe folds. It's a little pipe fold, but it doesn't go all the way at the end. It ends and it wraps around here, so it's a little pipe fold. And then this is the one, this is the hardest one. It's the zigzag fold. So you get, like, say, a pipe fold, and then when it falls down, it zigzags back and forth. So, but what happens here, and this is where it gets tricky, is that it tends to happen on only one side but not another. So, like, for example, on pants, when it comes down here in the front, and then there's nothing's happening on one side, but the zigzag folds are all on the front. And that's where things get tricky. So, and I'm thinking about this too. The types of cloth, if it's thick or thin, it will have different details. Thinner cloth will have more folds. Thicker cloth will have less folds, but bigger folds. So, all of this to say, and folds happen because of gravity, and it happens because of pinch points. So gravity, when the origin of folds are from support points, wherever the folds connect to anything, they fall from those points. But they also get pinched. Wherever a cloth, whatever it is, pinches, that's also an origin of folds. and make sure that the details follow the form. So the form is important because the details of the folds have to go conform with the direction of the object that they're covering. If they go against it, it looks flat and wrong. It's just not going to look good. And that's one of the reasons why you may be thinking about the right folds, but you may be putting them down in the wrong direction, and then it looks like garbage. So let's get started. So I'm gonna those are the things I'm gonna be thinking about, and then you can see this. I'll provide a link to this page on clothes formulas, so that you can understand what. So you can read this stuff for yourself and get reminded next time you got to do folds. So I'm gonna have this model sheet here so I could see it. And I'm going to draw the clothes on this character. So the very first thing I'm going to do is, I think I'm just going to generally lay in the places where the clothes shapes are going to be. So I know that there's going to be a collar here. This wraps around. This originates here. This is gonna do this. So right now I am not thinking about folds. I'm just thinking about trying to make sure that these details of the clothes are gonna fall where they need to fall, which is why you need the anatomy, right? This is the front. We're gonna have, here's gonna be that. Let's see, anything else? No, I think that's it. Okay, so oh, and then this here and this here. All right, so now I'm going to start thinking about a little bit more about the clothes. So here there's seams here, and those seams need to be accounted for. How the cloth is put together. Okay. So the seams are important because those are those could be anchor points. Those could be support points. Okay, and now this here is going to be flat. Like this is here is actually, because this is up, everything is falling down from here. So here, this too, everything is going to be falling down from here. So everything is going to be coming down off of this. Gravity is doing its job here. And because this is an anchor point and a seam here, but it's what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to make sure that because this is going away, that any detail that I put is reinforcing the direction of this body. So that means that this, even though like this would, to me, would be, if it was going, if it would be like this to me, because it's coming away from us, it needs to go that way instead. So we need to make sure that this detail and I should make this close, tighter to the arm here, or the muscle here. This detail needs to go that way. So if there's any overlap, it needs to go away from us. So because I don't like the way it's turning out, and I'm going to leave it completely flat. One of the things that is also helpful is to put one side that is detailed and leave the other side simple. So that means that the side that is being stretched is going to be the detail, the simple side. Stretching usually means it's simple. It's the baggy side that is going to be the complicated side. And now that I did this, I just remembered there's another thing that's good to do. And that is that wherever there's going to be a support point, maybe it's good to like just think about it like having put a dot there. And a good idea is when because this is a support point and a seam, everything is going to kind of come from this area, and it's going to stretch. So it's not a bad idea to just draw some lines radiating from this area like that. All the places where you're getting a lot of, that sort of thing happening. Here too, it's good to just do that. This area here is going to be pinching a lot. This let me see where this is gonna, from here is gonna be there's gonna be stretching like that's a support point, that's a pinch point right there. Here maybe it's getting pulled down. Okay, so now I've got some areas where the clothes is going to originate. It's kind of like radiate or support from, right? And because of that radiating lines, now we know kind of like where we're going to want to add a little bit of a fold. So like, for example, here we want this because it goes from here, the shoulder, all the way to the breasts here. We're going to want these radiating lines, but we want them to turn a little bit away. So, and since this is baggy, so we want something like that. These are spiral folds here. This is these are spiral folds, but they're very fat and simple, and they're not very tight. Now this is hanging down. We have this here, which is where the the breasts are, that's where it rests. This is the simple point, and then they're going to come down from here. And again from here. And it just comes down, and it's just tight because it's being pulled. So the trick often is, we may not even, because this is tight, this is where it's going to be complicated, this is where it's going to be simple. Remember, simple versus complicated makes for interesting design, and it tends to feel very natural too. So here we have these pinch points. I mean, the seam. Let me fix the seam so that it actually goes in the direction of the anatomy, even though it probably wouldn't do that. And this is the simple side because everything is hanging from here. This is a pipe fold, and then this is a pipe fold too, but it's coming from a pinch area. So, whoops, I'm not following the pinch. It needs to follow this direction here. Let me just one. Erase all of these other ones. This is a pipe fold. It comes down and wraps around. This comes down, let me just boom, like that. Okay, so this is where this clothes ends up zigzagging a bit. So it lumps out, and then it does a bit of a zigzag. It just wraps around because it's super baggy. And this should probably come up and point to this support area. It should point to the supports. And this wraps around like that. The detail here is that there's a pocket of the shirt, and so this pocket needs to wrap around. See how it has to all follow the direction of the torso that I drew? That's why I drew those directional lines, so that you can see that I'm thinking about that. This needs to be in perspective, so I need to make sure that this is lumpy, a lumpy pocket. And then the detail is this line here, and then this, we're going to pretend there is that it folds like that. And it comes out, maybe not so much. Maybe this is too much this way. The tricky part when doing any kind of folds is not to overdo it. Like if you over wrinkle it, it looks really bad. So I'm personally constantly adding and erasing, adding and erasing, adding and erasing, and adjusting and adding and erasing and adjusting. Is this too much? Is this not enough? Maybe if I add a little, nope, that doesn't work. Let me take that back. Okay, maybe I'll do this, and it's like that, like the whole time. Now maybe I drew this too low, so I think perhaps the pants should start up here. With the belt. Which means that everything else here you know, I'm thinking about how this is lumpy and it's coming down, and again this is still the same, it's the same idea. This is all kind of lumpy, and there's overlap of this cloth over this belt. It's a little better, I think. So now we have this belt here, and this is the part of the clothes where it's skin tight because it's being pulled from this point. So like this is getting pulled, and this is skin tight too, and this is skin tight too. So this is the simple side. This is simple. This is simple. This is simple. Let me finish this off here. This is simple, and this is complex. This is where it gets complicated. And I don't want to do this detail doing this. I want, if anything, I want to reinforce this wrapping around. Now, so if I'm going to put a detail of any kind, or a fold of any kind, I want it all to be describing the form this way. Like everything is wrapping this way. In real life, sometimes that folds absolutely do not do that. But as an artist, you have to take advantage of every opportunity to reinforce whatever structure you're working on or working with, add more dimension to it, and be more real than real. Reality, because of its nature, by the fact that it's a real thing, we just kind of take it for granted that something is dimensional, or our brain just works and makes it work. But with the drawing, we don't get that luxury. Okay, so simple, 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 and then we got to do the complicated. Now this here, because this is where it's coming from, this is an interlocking fold. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be doing here, and then, but the problem is that we're coming down here with this close here. So this is the front doing this zigzag. It's going to be doing this. That's what the zigzag fold is doing. Like that. But this here is going counter what I just drew. So this is tricky because now I need to make sure that this is doing this. It's going in the correct direction. So if I'm going to do an interlocking fold, and this is going to be looser on this side, this needs to interlock this way. And it needs to point to this knee because this is the pinch, the pinch point, the source of the folds. And this is falling. This is really baggy. Gotta get rid of my radiating lines. They were just guides. I think that maybe if she was running, this character was running this way, that that the air, the wind, that like if he was the thrust of the leg would maybe tighten this up a bit. And this would be tight against the leg. So now this whole thing becomes like that, and then this is now flying back. And this is tight here. This becomes a pinch point, or not a pinch point, but an anchor point. This becomes an anchor, and this here still becomes an anchor, or stays an anchor. It's a bit of a it's a slight it becomes a slight pipe fold here. So this becomes a simple side. This is the simple side over here, simple. And this is the complex. And this needs to have some kind of interlocking fold. It's not natural not to have an interlocking fold there. And I'm sitting here sculpting out the shape. Not sure. Just playing with it until it looks, it feels right to me, like it feels like an interlock, and it feels like a fold that would be there naturally. Okay. And something, this is a little bit, this is all tight. Okay, so this, again, this is where this is coming from. And let me see, if he's thrusting, if I'm running, where is the pull coming from? If my leg was this way, leg. So this would be coming from this way. So this is the tight side, and this is the loose side. I was just trying to make sure that I got this right. So everything is coming from here on this side. Okay. And this is, whoa. So everything, oops. Everything is wrapping this way. We're going around this way. They're like pipe folds here and interlocking folds here. And they're all going around in the direction of the lower leg, so we can get some dimension here. This pinch side here. Wrap around. So I have that radiating lines. I'm going to get rid of them because now they're getting confusing, but they're there to help me recognize that if there's any folds at all, they're going to be originating from this anchor point here and wrapping around the leg. Keep accidentally selecting the white of the paper. Then the shoes. shoe. Okay. Let's see. Now I'm going to, just to clarify, I'm going to get some white here. Oops. Wrong layer. And I'm going to cover up the body underneath. And this is actually going to give me a good idea as to whether or not all my decisions were in any way decent. Okay, so now baggy clothes. So yeah, it looks like they're okay. So this here line probably. So now I can go back in and see if anything looks a little off. And again, with when it comes to clothes, less is more. So if there's if something doesn't look quite right, it might be better not to even include it. Like if there's just too much, if there's too much detail, then you may want to delete the detail. This is off. This needs to be higher. The idea here is that the pockets need to reinforce the perspective in the turn of the torso. So the perspective is this, so that means that this needs to be lower. This needs to be not only this way, but this way. There's just too much crap on this character. There. This, oh, here we need big time. There should be like interlocking. And if that's the case, then it needs to, yeah, this is where it's all radiated. These are all the origin points, the anchor points for this. There's an interlock right there. The seam of the pants needs to be accounted for. The pockets. Where would the pockets be? It would be here. There would be seam here. Come down here. This too. It would probably be a seam here. Wow, this is the leg. Let's see, I might be doing this instead, maybe. No, I don't like it. Okay, so from this point on, I can take this and finish the drawing, and I may or may not. But now you guys, well, now you know. Now I've showed you how I'd approach. Oops, this is all not a good idea. I'm drawing in the wrong thing. Now I've showed you how I approach doing folds. So just to review, when I do these drawings, I make sure to think about the anatomy of the figure, and I can't believe I actually started deleting the underdrawing here. But I get the direction of the forms, and once I know what the direction of the forms are, I'm able to draw the clothes, and the clothes needs to conform to the direction that I have concluded that the limbs and the torsos and the body parts are going. And then when I draw the folds, they need to adhere to that direction. And the folds that I'm doing are interlocking folds, pipe folds, zigzag folds. And those are in general the folds. There's a lot of other ones, but interlocking, pipe folds, and spiral folds are the ones that we use the most. There are others, but I'm not gonna talk about those today, because really you don't really need to know that. At this point, you can add or subtract detail as you want, depending on how you want it to look, how baggy it is. Like I said, less is more. But that's how I tend to approach drawing clothes and cloth and drapery, is like that. I think I can get away with doing this maybe. Okay, so hopefully that's been, I hope that's been helpful. And I hope that that answers your question. I'm going to be eventually recording a brand new course, and it's going to go over the drapery stuff here. But this is essentially what you need to know if you're wanting to do this sort of thing with drapery and clothes and folds. Pipe folds here. This is interlocking folds. Zigzag folds here. They would go boom, and then this would kind of zigzag over here. But also, this is coming up to here to this chest actually. There would be zigzag folds here, but nothing is, since she's in action, there is no zigzag folds happen like right here, boom, 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 when an object's in at rest. But because she's moving, everything is coming from a point, my gosh, I keep forgetting the name of the support point. So everything is coming from the support points. Because she's in motion, everything, there's a support point for everything. And so you're thinking about the physics, you're thinking about where everything is coming from in order to have so zigzag folds are very much rarer in a situation like this, because zigzag folds tend to happen when a figure is more at rest. So before I was going to put a zigzag fold here, but it didn't make any sense and didn't make any logical sense to put that there. Because she was in motion. Which meant that everything here is the simple side, this is the complex side. Simple, complex, simple, simple, complex, complex. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in drawing anything at all, even if you're not good at drawing, I've uploaded and created a course for anybody who wants to learn to draw. If you already know how to draw, this is not that course is not for you. It is for people who want to learn to draw, but believe that talent is required to be able to do so. It's for people who can't draw themselves out of a paper bag. It's people who can't draw even a stick figure or a straight line, that sort of thing. Well, if that's you, then this is the course for you. If you know somebody who wants to get into drawing and cannot and super intimidated about drawing, then let them know about this course. Let them know how to get there. The link is going to be in the description of this video, so that you can let them know that there is some place for them to go so that they could learn. And really what it is, and just to be clear about what the course is about. The course is about empowering you. The course is going to take you from being afraid to draw to being confident enough to draw. And then from that point on, you can pick up any drawing book and then start learning from those drawing books. If you have drawing books and they're completely over your head because they're just too complicated, this is the course that gets you to the point where you could actually start using the drawing books you bought, because I've noticed the drawing books assume a lot of skill already. I don't. I assume that you know nothing. So that's what it's for. It's to get you from being able to do absolutely nothing to being able to actually use those drawing books that that you probably bought that you can't even use because they're just too complicated. All right. So thanks a lot for watching, and I will talk to you next time. All right. Bye.